clear up one of the biggest misconceptions in dieting. Fast weight loss isn't better. In fact, losing weight fast is usually worse, or best case scenario, it's a real warning sign about sustainability. GLP drugs aside, a sustainable fat loss rate is approximately half a pound to 1.5 pounds per week. For larger individuals with more weight to lose, it can be up to 1% of your total body weight a week. But if you're 300 pounds, that still only means 3 pounds a week. That's it. That's the system your biology supports. When you lose weight any faster than that, you're probably losing muscle, water, or glycogen. You'll notice that your strength drops, your metabolism starts to adapt downward. You'll feel terrible, then rebound, and for many people, that means putting the weight back on. If you want to avoid the constant yo-yo effect of dieting, then you'll want to do the right things the right way. Instead, focus on consistent inputs. Protein daily, hitting that protein goal. Steps daily. Shoot for at least 5,000, but somewhere in the 7 to 10,000 range is probably best. At least 2 strength training sessions per week. A sustainable calorie deficit, not anything extreme. Sleep quality and consistency, hydration, and minimizing alcohol. Now, I'd be foolish to ignore the elephant in the room. In 2024, around 12% of Americans at least try the different versions of GLP-1s or the other weight loss drugs. I've heard estimates that that number will be closer to 50% by the end of 2026. For many people who feel that diets have failed them, these drugs can feel like a real solution, and I've actually known plenty of people that have gotten great results from them. But let's be honest, what these drugs do is not actually magic. They do a few things. For instance, they play on the serotonin receptors on the brain, and they help block those feel-good hormones, so we don't get the same pleasures from eating food. They also increase your satiety, the feelings of fullness, so you feel fuller sooner. And then they slow down what's called gastric emptying, the rate at which your stomach empties food, meaning you feel fuller longer. Now, these are all great things for fat loss, but most people don't want to be on these drugs forever. And at least in their current format, they're not really designed for that anyways. But if all these things are really working on multiple fronts to control one common factor, the amount of calories that you could consume. So if you could somehow eat 5,000 calories a day on Wegovy, you would still gain weight. It doesn't make the calories disappear, it simply makes you eat less. But even if you do decide to use these drugs, you have to think about the long term. What processes to put in place to help keep the weight off. That means things like portion control, eating highly satiating foods, exercise, and daily movement. Your body will respond to rhythm, not chaos, with or without drugs. So remember, you're not in a race against the scale. You're rebuilding your habits, and it's a long game, and it's worth playing.